Hey, it's Ace again. Another day here in beautiful Italy. Mother's Day, my birthday. If you are watching this video, I'm hoping you didn't think I was too awkward in my other video, and you want to know more about how I work and how I think, and are actually considering me for this position. So for this video with the long answers, I took my time and I thought about them and I wrote down my answers. So this video is going to be more of me reading as opposed to trying to be in a personal conversation because that makes me I get some stage fright about that. So here we go. For number two, I enjoy learning new approaches and implementing them in my work, but the decision often depends on time constraints and whether I have successfully introduced a pattern or technique in the past that will fulfill the requirements at hand. If I am confident in a new approach and it fits the timeline, then I'll explore it. But if the project demands quick delivery, or if I've implemented a similar solution before, then I will stick to what I know works to ensure speed and maintainability. Additionally, I want to take more factors into account when coming up with solutions and writing algorithms such as speed and efficiency. And that is one of the reasons that I am starting grad school at University of Tennessee this fall. It's all online, and I'm not going to take on more than what my workload would allow, but um, I'm excited for that to get to delve a little further into my knowledge stack. But okay, so the bottom line is I always want to write readable code, and even if it is complex logic, there should always be enough comments for anyone to follow along. And refactoring code has made me feel very strongly about that. Huge fan of comments. And okay, for number three, after graduating from years of coding Java at University of Tennessee for my undergrad, I wanted to learn JavaScript, and I discovered a free 50 video course tutorial online. And that was my first really big open source contribution that helped me. And with both a feeling of community and learning JavaScript, it reminded me of why I wanted to take this career path to begin with. And it really reignited my love for development, specifically for front end. And it also made me appreciate the human connection amongst coders and want to give back, which once I was at the level to do so, which I'm now doing, which is great. Uh, so I don't know how unpopular this is, but at least at my job currently, it's an unpopular opinion. Inline tailwind styling is superior. Obviously, if a style is repeated, then you add it to your theme. And I think if the utility classes get too long, then just throw in a comment for why you created the container that way, or like why the components like in the container need that style to work with the Flexbox. Probably Flexbox, not great. Personal opinion. I'm not a fan of separate CSS files for every component. I find it inefficient to switch between files just to figure out how something is styled. Inline styling, especially with Tailwind, makes it easy to immediately see what's going on without the need to jump between files. It enhances the speed of development and keeps everything in one place, making it easier to manage. Um, sorry, number six. I deliberately keep my deep knowledge of older browser compatibility and polyfills somewhat outdated. Because for what I build, it's targeted towards modern browsers and platforms. And I focus on staying current with tools and features that will deliver most value today, like modern CSS capabilities and the latest advancements in React, like React 18, and introducing server client rendering for the use client, and focusing on how that works as opposed to outdated browser compatibility. Number 7, I like to write reusable code broken into small components, and I get focused when I'm in the zone working. When making updates to outsource to me projects, like I have had to stop myself and take a beat because I've gotten a little off topic with the ticket at hand. And I was trying to break up the components and clean up the code a little bit. But that was not my job, since it was like an outsource to my company's project. And so I didn't need to do anything other than the simple task on the ticket. And then I needed to move on to other projects at our company with higher priority. So I just had to reset and be like, wait, there's a rabbit hole there that I do not need to get into. But number 8, you have to push back sometimes. Once I was spinning out on a task that a client had given to a designer and then came to me, and I asked for help after a little while of spinning out, and one of my colleagues saw how far-fetched that said, oh, Zoom, I assume it's still recording. I don't know what just happened, but oh yeah, so I shared or asked for help from a colleague and shared the requirements, and they saw how far-fetched it was, and they told me sometimes it is necessary to push back on things if they do not align within a timeline. And that's very valuable, but sometimes difficult. Number 10. Oh, yeah, using Node Mailer for contact forms on my freelance sites. Because I really want to learn more full stack and back end, and which I'm looking forward to this fall. But so for my contact forms, I used to use a different software, which they had a rebranding last year, and it vastly changed, and it felt very clunky for what I needed it for. So I dug for a simpler solution, and I'm not very familiar with Node.js, but I successfully implemented Node Mailer and added the way that the reCAPTCHA was working also got updated. So added that in there, and I used Node.js and React email to format a confirmation email, as well as the email from the user on the contact form. What thinking led me there is that I code with a failure is not an option viewpoint, and anything can be achieved with late nights and lots of coffee. And number 11. Oh, this makes me kind of excited. I would start by building a sustainability highlight component near the top of your homepage, something eye-catching with a clear call to action that links directly to your sustainability page. It's a core value that should be front and center to highlight the impact that Pact has. I like the sustainability page, but I feel like it could have more content and metrics, such as like Patagonia's footprint page and Whole Foods page. Like they have a little call to action, like right at the top, and just to bring it to the user's attention. I think that's very important. Also, yesterday, one of my friends on social media shared an Act Now page on Patagonia's website. And it is to call Congress and have your voice heard. And I think that that makes the user feel engaged and like they're having an impact. And if PACT fostered that opportunity, it would not only do good for the cause at hand, but also I think it's a great marketing tactic. So I think that that would be a good build. That would be something that I would be very excited to do. For 12, last year I led development on an iOS, both iOS and Android compatible mobile app. I coordinated meetings with the client and I communicated necessary endpoints to the back end and handled everything in between. It was a demanding project with many late nights, and I learned very, very much. But the app is not in use anymore, unfortunately. But I'm very thankful for that entire experience. Oh, this is my Gatsby cup that they sent me for using Gatsby before. 13. I once worked with a ninja. She was very nice and very quiet, so I assumed she was more junior because she didn't voice her opinions in meetings. But once I got a chance to collaborate with her and I started asking her questions, I realized she was a genius and that I needed to continue asking her questions. And what made that work was just learning to create space for her voice and recognizing that not everyone communicates their value in the same way. And it reminded me to be more intentional about listening and not equate confidence with competence. 14. Oh, excuse me. I answered that one in my short answer video. 15. When I was passing state through multiple components in a React project, a junior team member questioned why I wasn't using a global state management like Jotai. We had the discussion and they shared their thoughts, and it made me change my approach because they were right and it was a very good suggestion. 16. In a recent mobile app refactor, I had to integrate new API endpoints that were documented in Swagger in a Docker container, while the old endpoints were not documented and coming from an entirely different backend. And I pushed to migrate them, but that was my priority. And it was front end changes with the couple extra back end points, but it was not any of the back end developers' priority. And I couldn't let myself get hung up on that. So I learned what I needed to about the existing endpoints and finished the refactor. 18. During the testing phase of an application that was not yet in production, the stakes were lower, and I made that decision knowing it wouldn't impact end users. And so we had the fast feedback loop to see any issues to catch and fix. And it helped us learn faster and iterate more effectively before we launched to actual production. 20. How important it is to rely on your team, ask questions early and often, and listen more than you talk. Software development is collaborative, and the ability to communicate clearly, take feedback, and build trust with your teammates is important. And good leadership will take you where you need to go. It goes a long way. For 21, I added ARIA labels, auto-focused certain endpoints, inputs, and steered the client away from a color scheme that was not accessible on the application that I mentioned earlier, the mobile app that I mentioned earlier that's no longer in use. I did know that starting off, the app would not have a large reach, but I took time outside of deadlines to implement these accessibility features because I knew I couldn't be proud of my work if just one person couldn't navigate the app because those features were missing. That app was my baby, and doing right by all potential users was very important to me. Last question, 22. It had a well-defined theme, organized and navigatable folder structure, and was comprised of small reusable components. And I do believe that's all relatively standard, but it was a fantastic code base, and I miss working in primarily one code base and not constantly project jumping. I did get to dig around in the proverbial basement of that great code base, and I was on some microservice cleanup. So it was not all rainbows and fairy dust, but all the new code that was being developed was thorough quality and went through good code reviews, and I love learning from that. Um, so hopefully you guys like my answers, and as I said, it's my birthday, so I'm gonna go check out this awesome Coliseum, and I very much look forward to speaking with you guys soon. Ciao.